Good evening. This is Sandubisi Ekekwe. I'm speaking from Pittsburgh, United States of America. You are welcome to Tekedia Business Innovation Webinar. Today, we will continue our conversation on some of the questions and answers we have received over the last few days. Unfortunately, for the second video for the question and answer session, we had some encoding issues. So I have to go through some of the most important questions just to make sure that people, participants, actually pick some of the elements that we had expected to pass across. Of course, you can still watch the videos, right, the webinar webpage, but I have to go through some of them because of the issues we noticed. So thank you very much once again for the opportunity to have this conversation. We are honored to have you here. And I'll be going through a summary of some of the things that we have already covered as part of this webinar. I'll begin by looking at the foundation series. As you know, that the foundation series are the core pillars upon which the question and answer sessions we are actually presented. We covered 5 cardinal areas: the purpose and fixing frictions of nations. Essentially, we discuss the need for establishing companies and the purpose of firms in making sure the frictions in markets are actually fixed. Because if there is no friction in the market, there is certainly no opportunity in the business. So because of frictions which exist in the marketplace, that is the reason why we have companies. We also examine 6 frameworks which are critical in the 21st century business system. If you follow these frameworks, there is a possibility that you can actually do something great in different sectors of global economies as well as local economies. So we examine them looking at cases, looking at examples, looking at how people are using them at both global and local business institutions. We also look at the very fantastic element in the one OASI strategy and also the double, helping us to understand how some modern companies are building capabilities by deepening the best products in their portfolios. By doing those things, they can actually build modes, competencies, and capabilities, structuring their business systems so that they can have the resilience to survive and win markets. If you extrapolate that into the Michael Porter's forces, you can actually see that we are largely saying the same thing. If you have the best product in any specific category, you become the category king. And when you become a category king, you have the capacity to actually dominate your market segment. And when you do that, you win by covering your flags and then building moats, avoid territorial encroachments from others. So we also examine the mechanics of growth. Pillars in building were not visible. Essentially, if you're living in America, if you're living in London and you want to start a company in Nigeria, how do you actually make that happen? How do you build institutions even when you're not visible? Looking at if you don't have funding, how do you begin? Examine cases of companies like TMAPT, institutions that are actually started great in Lagos without necessarily raising a lot of capital or even raising a single dime. How did they do those things? Examine investment possibilities and options and went through all cases, stock, treasury use, fixer deposit, how you can actually participate. And then we ended up with find the edges. As you begin to take action to actually participate in the business ecosystem across Africa, where is the best place for you to do that in terms of when you get into that specific sector? Will you play at the edges? Will you play at the center? We examined and we look at the opportunities in the market. We look at more than 30 different opportunities that you can actually see, things that are awesomely, in some cases, latent, that you cannot necessarily see them unless if you have awareness and observation. When you have mastered all these constructs, what can you do better? How do you begin to move? And how do you take action? So over the last few hours, we examined all these elements, and then question and answer came. The first question and answer has about more than 150 minutes of taping. And also the second one, unfortunately, which had some encoding issues, but of course, you can watch it. It's really very, very, not necessarily bad. It's nearly 50 minutes. I believe vividly that I'm going to make a very short one here. The point it is my belief that we will have the opportunity to have a very deep conversation about the mechanics of farms and how we can build capabilities across different industrial sectors in Africa, specifically in Nigeria. So let me go through some of the new questions that we have received, in as much as I'm also going to pick some that I've already addressed in question and answer section 2. And somebody asks this question: what is your view on the prospect of e-commerce in Africa? Of course, many people know that I'm not necessarily bullish on the e-commerce sector right now because of many things I have already discussed. I've written extensively. Especially, I had an article in Harvard Business Review where I noted that the e-commerce sector is going to be a loss-making business before it becomes a profit-making business. And it's going to take significant change across different anchors and pillars in our economy before we can experience any turnaround in the trajectory in terms of profitability of that sector. And one problem there is that the e-commerce marginal cost is not domiciled in the digital space. It's not an electronic business. It's not an electronic component. That the marginal cost paralysis is actually resident in the physical space, because when someone has placed the order on the website, someone has to physically deliver that order. Because we do not have postal service, as you scale, as you expand, you are not getting a marginal cost competitive advantage because of scale. Rather, the marginal cost scales as you are scaling users and territories. So there was a curve in one of the foundation sections where I actually explained the relationship between users' revenue, distribution costs, transaction costs, that is the marginal cost. We bring them together. If your marginal cost is not getting flatter or lower, going towards nil, as the number of users as a revenue increases, it means that you do not have a great business. So e-commerce is one of those sectors where if you are adding more users, your marginal cost also increases in Africa. But if you go to a place like UK or a place like Germany or United States where they have good postal service, as you scale that business, your marginal cost drops because the United States Postal Service takes care of the logistics. In Africa, that's not the case. And what happens here is that to solve that paralysis, the entrepreneurs running logistics businesses, they now begin to build territorial focus. They said, okay, I am going to focus in Lagos. I'm going to have a domain in Abuja and Port Harcourt. And when you do that, it's no more a digital business. Because a digital business, the web business is supposed to be largely, at least at national level, cover all elements of the nation. I mean, people can go online and buy anything they want to buy for that particular business or for that particular sector. And we at least within a national boundary. But when you say I'm going to serve customers in Lagos only in an e-commerce, it means that you are saying that this business is no more electronic business. That is something that restricts its scalable advantage. It's actually bounded by geography. And when something is bounded by geography, it means it's no more a digital business. It's no more an electronic internet-based business. So that's the reason why I am not extremely bullish the short-term prospect of e-commerce. And I have largely looking at data and I can't see anything changing. But nevertheless, I believe within 2022 on upwards, we are going to see an inflection point because the cost of broadband and possibly some logistics companies like Kobo 360 and others are going to figure out how they can bring elemental micro aggregation at intracity level that will give us the prospect and capacity for us to now fix that friction, which is just a logistics. Because if somebody can fix that logistical issue, it means that opportunities will abound. So I would say, don't be like Kalahari that ran out of money. Don't be like OLS in Nigeria that ran out of money. Don't be like so many of them that ran out of money. You just have to wait. There must be something that must happen. And when those things happen, that is when e-commerce will become very, very profitable. But if you have the money that you can just mark the clock, just like Juma is doing, good luck. Of course, if you look at the data, the New York Stock Exchange, they are saying largely that we are not even sure whether we are ever going to make profit. Of course, that is just a very pessimistic view. They're going to make profit one day, but it's going to take a long time. And it takes someone who has access to capital to run that kind of business. Because if your gestation period of profitability becomes exceedingly very, very long, you have a real issue. So that's my view on e-commerce. And also, another one, gentleman asks a question, where do you see employment? Where you see employment in Nigeria? So he's asking a question where people can find opportunity for jobs. Of course, it's a very challenging question because if you look right into our economy, you see that largely we're not actually doing well as a country. I mean, this is not a political statement, gentlemen and ladies. I'm just trying to be data-based. And nearly less than 10 years ago, we were reporting nearly 30-something billion dollars in our national budget. But today, we're just around 24 billion. It has nothing to do with any president. It's a factor that we had a deteriorated currency, which lost a very huge part of itself. So our naira now cannot necessarily give us a lot of dollars. Because most of our debts are still dominated in foreign currency, it means that we are actually poor as a nation. Because when you look at the per capita income, take the national budget or take the GDP of the nation, divide by the total number of the population, you see largely that we are not making a lot of progress. So the implication of that is when you have such paralysis at the economic level, jobs opportunities will disappear. And then if the jobs are not there, unfortunately, you will now see a lot of companies asking people to send CVs and resumes. So that is the challenge we have as a nation. And that is a paralysis that we have gotten. So in the past, the banks used to help us by providing opportunity for employment. But unfortunately, the banks themselves had moved into the digital transformation stuff, which is great because they have to adapt, they have to improve, they have to streamline the operations, and they have to become more competitive globally and locally. And the implication of that, a lot of people have been displayed. The ATM has done more job displacement in Nigeria than anything you can imagine. The debit cards you have in your hand are actually engines of job displacement. So if you look at it, the banking sector has only one trajectory to follow. It just keeps losing jobs because as it continues to streamline and digitalize its operation, it doesn't need a lot of people. As I explained recently, that if you work from visit Abuja specifically at Central Business District, from the CBN to the Casastra zone, where you just walk through that, you see that many banks branches have also closed. They are closing because there is no need of having branches. They just have ATM machines. And those branches that are closed, they are not necessarily going to come back. So that is the prospect. That is the territory we are. And if you look at the telcos themselves, it's not that they are adding a lot of people. And in the oil and gas sector, they have already been going down, shrinking over the last few years. But there is something exciting that is happening in the country. The entrepreneurial capitalism is awake because there are so many Nigerian companies that are raising capital internationally. But unfortunately, these entities are still at the level of infancy. They are not going to hire thousands of people because they have to optimize the factors of production capital. But they offer a very solid roadmap for anyone looking for employment. You just have to figure out how you can get into that ecosystem. What do you need to have? What capability do you need to have? What skill set do you need to have? If you develop them, the startups are the places to be. Just recently, last few days, I shared a lot of opportunities in Kobo 360. And even in our own business in Zambos, we are actually hiring people. So I know one thing, startups are going to become the elements that will unlock employment opportunities in the next few days, in the next few years in this country. So if you're looking for jobs, go beyond the banks, go beyond the telecoms, go beyond even the oil and gas. and look what the startups are talking about. So attend foreign activity. So this gentleman or lady is asking a question, do I attend a foreign university or do I keep my job in Africa? So he basically has this decision to make. Do I go for a foreign school, get a master's, PhD? He didn't explain, or she did not explain. Or keep my job. Okay, many of us had an opportunity to make such a decision, and remember, I made mine many years ago. And the implication is this: will never have the opportunity to go for foreign education anytime. There is going to be a moment when it becomes extremely very difficult. So depending on the stage where you are in your career and the age or the responsibilities you have in your family, it may actually be a decision that I believe vividly will never hurt you. I don't see any negative. Somebody going maybe to the United States or Britain or any of the advanced nations to get a master's degree or PhD, because there will always be jobs, but the opportunity to go to school may not always be there. And if you are going to school not just to get a certificate, but also to acquire new capabilities, remember what we explained in the Foundation Series, Section 1, where I explained extensively about capabilities. If you have this mindset that I'm going to learn something new, I'm going to develop capabilities, that if everything fails, I can actually be my own boss because I have a skill set I've acquired through that learning. I mean, there is no job that can be better than that. You will always find jobs because if you are very good, even if that business fails, somebody will hire you. That is the thing. So if I have that choice, that decision to make, I will go for foreign education. If I finish, I want to come back to Nigeria, there will always be jobs and even better jobs. But if I keep the job in Nigeria, sure, it's great, just make money. There will always going to be a time when that experience of having the opportunity to live outside the country and then coming back with that new perspective globally, those things can never be monetized. There's just no way on earth that you can experience that without actually experiencing it. So you need to have that perspective that I have lived outside the nation I was born. And then when you come in, you see things in a different way. It's something worth trying. And I will recommend it to anyone that can afford it. You have a great job in a bank, have a great job in an oil company, those things are great. If you go to a very great school, acquire great skill sets, you will come back, there will always be opportunities for you. But if you have this mindset that I'm traveling abroad just to get another certificate without actually getting any skill set, you may be disappointed that you cannot even pass a single interview in Lagos because the guys that will interview you are extremely brilliant people. They are not intimidated by the certificate you've acquired abroad. They are really interested if you can help them to improve their business process, to advance their business mission. And when they realize you don't have that capacity, that capability, not acquired any skill, you just obtain a certificate, it's going to be very difficult. We make that decision, and that's only you that will make that decision. So I have another question here. Suggestions to a student starting career. Okay, it's asking a question. A student that is starting a career, what are the suggestions? So I will say this. If I am starting my career, just like many years ago, I finished from Federal University of Technology, where I prioritize knowledge, acquisition of knowledge, generation of knowledge over making money immediately. I was very lucky that right before I finished from university, I had jobs. I was finishing as my class best graduate student. So there were just a lot of opportunities. Got many job offers while in college. But I also made decisions that when I took the first one, they gave me a car, gave me a driver, gave me a house. Actually didn't spend more than a week there because I saw tons of money, but I did not see an opportunity to advance. So my decision is this, and my recommendation is this. Do not pursue just money. Pursue what is going to help you that after 5, 6, 7, 10 years, you will not just feel like somebody who has a fast bank account, but you have lost track even in your own sector. on your industry. Because the implication of that, if that job you are doing, they're paying you so much money, if you happen to lose that job and you don't have any skill that is transferable, that is marketable, that is expandable, you can have a real problem. So you start the job, be thinking, how do I get a master's degree? How do I develop myself? How do I acquire new skills? How do I ensure myself against any turbulence in any specific company or industry? If you have that mindset that you keep learning, you keep developing yourself, you don't just spend money just because you want to spend money. You spend money because you want to ensure that no matter what happens, I'm going to develop myself. I'm going to equip myself with new knowledge. I'm going to acquire new knowledge. I'm going to acquire new capability. And I'm going to remain relevant in my sector. You have a great career. The greatest skill set in this world is actually a skill set that will make you one day to feel, I can be my own boss. It's not because you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be a founder. It simply means that you've gotten so well that you can actually sell a service and have the confidence that when people give you that job, you do it. You can hide under someone, but when you are the boss, there's no other person to hide. So if you have that level of quality, you will never be looking for jobs. The jobs will always come. But to make and develop yourself to that level, you need to prioritize continuous training, continuous investment in yourself. And that is very critical. So prioritize ability to always think, how do I make myself better? It's not just about how do I buy a new car, buy a new house, go for a new vacation, another country. Those things are great. But if the source of that income comes in and there is nothing in you, get into big trouble. So ask another one, gentleman or lady asks question, opportunities for students. Of course, it's been a long time I left school, and I don't necessarily know, but I do believe in one thing, that there are so many hackathons, there are so many accelerators, there are so many hubs across Africa today, giving students opportunities for them to participate. Facebook, Google, Microsoft, there are just a lot of opportunities. And I know that if you follow blogs, like even my own blog, Tekedia.com, we do make sure that when such opportunities they share with us, my team, they always make sure that those things are posted. So these are opportunities. The opportunities are there that if you prove yourself within this ecosystem, you can actually find something very, very fascinating. Get a great job from these companies, or you can actually have skill set that will help you to get other opportunities, explore other opportunities. So, and also internationally, because of the internet, which is unconstrained and unbounded, the limitation imposed by distance has actually been reduced. Write an article, someone will be interested in you from the United States and say, come and work for me as a graduate student. And those things never happened before because there were no internet. So the opportunities are there, but you have to be prepared to work hard. You make yourself be separated from the many and the multitude. So the next question here, ways to grow my business. Okay, basically asking how can he or she grow the business, right? A very, very difficult one, because without a context, without the specific knowledge of this industry or the specific sector of the market, it's going to be very difficult for me to actually make a very good suggestion here. But nevertheless, I would say something. The best way to grow a business is to be a very good business person. And that good business person means to be a customer-oriented professional. If you can serve one customer and do it very well, that customer becomes a living reference for you, and that could also become an ambassador for you. So you will tell other people, and the other people come to you, and you serve them. You tell other people, and before you know it, you have many customers to serve. But also, if you are doing that, you can also explore the area of partnership, because if you don't have enough budget in marketing and business development, there's also an opportunity where you say, if someone can join me as a partner, I'm going to share maybe revenue with that person. This is very, very critical, because if you are running a business like a hardware business where you need scale to reduce the unit economics of the product, there's no way you can get that scale if you don't raise tons of money. But you can also use partners who can actually buy in bulk, and then you give them distribution discount so that they can sell and have good margins. That's a very solid opportunity for you to go Pan-African overnight. And we use that extensively in our business, where we are partner-driven entity in our hardware business, because we need to have scale. And the only way we can have scale is actually by working with these partners, because when we pull all the orders from the partners, we get critical mass that can actually help us to reduce unit economics of the electronics. So growing your business has to come from this construct that you have to become visible to for people to know what you do. You cannot be a CEO or founder or an entrepreneur and you think you can do the gentleman thing. You have to go into a battle. You have to battle. You have to actually fight for your presence. You have to make people to understand what you do, to separate yourself from others. You cannot just afford to put on a tie and a suit and then think that the jobs will come. If you think that way, go and get a bank job. Go and get a job in MTN. Go and get a job in Glow, Airtel. Because the individuals that work there, their salaries will come at the end of the month, whether there is anything that happens or not. But for you, you don't have that privilege. So you have to weed yourself out of that mindset. Now, writing a blog post talking about my company is a nuisance. It's not a professional thing to do, because I'm promoting myself. You don't think that way. The people that say that you are promoting yourself, I can afford to say that because someone is already promoting the company where they work for. They have a PR department, they have a marketing department, but you don't have those privileges. You are the PR, you are the marketing department, you are the business development. So you have to tell people what you do. Some will say you are self-promoting yourself. Don't bother. Just ignore them. The reason why you ignore them, because they don't understand what they're talking about. Because if they understand what they're talking about, if you check critically, they are working in the Federal Ministry of Finance, they're working in one government agency, or they are working in one big bank. Those banks are also promoting themselves, but they are promoting themselves through professionals, departments, structured, directors, but you don't have them. The greatest mistake is for somebody to state the pace of engagement with markets. Because most times people are different levels. And if you want to be like them, you're going to run into difficulties. I'll give you an example in LinkedIn. There are people, you go to their LinkedIn page, they don't have any single thing to post. Because if you look critically, they are working in one company that has maybe 500 people involved across the African market on sales and distribution services. And maybe they are working as an accountant in that company. So there's no reason for them to even engage with anyone, because that interaction does not favor their company. Or they have a policy they can't even talk about the company online. But you yourself, you don't have that privilege. So if you want to grow that business, people need to know what you do. And the only way they will need to know what you do is when you actually tell them. This is not about being a gentleman or a lady. It's actually being somebody that can go into the market and battle. If you can't battle, no one will know that you exist. And that business will not come. So the next question here is start while living in the US. Okay, he's asking a question: how can he start a business while living in the US? I would say we have addressed that. I think in the foundation series, that's it, series 4. I think the mechanics of growth. I think that one of the. So I'm not going to waste time here. So please go back to that foundation and check how you can start a company while living abroad, not just in the United States. I think one of those foundation series for this webinar, we have addressed that. And the other question here: can he work in my company? Yeah, I think that's a very personal question. Maybe we'll get across to you individually, and we will explore. There are just so many opportunities. But the way we do our business is a little different in the sense that we are partner driven. So we build the intellectual property, we create the technology, and then people help us to distribute them. So I will get back to you. It does not involve the group participants in this webinar. So, what are the likely conferences and events that I can attend? Um, sure, there are many conferences and events, and I would say most of them I also post the ones that they send to us and our Tekedia. But the conferences and events must be correlated with what your specific industry is. So largely, if you're in the technology space, there are conferences. I think every week in Lagos there is always one, and of course at the intercontinental level there is also. But it's not every conference you have to attend. It's not every event. You always need to ask yourself, what is the return on investment? What is the value you are getting? And it's a decision you have to make, and it's not something anyone can tell you the press conference. But personally, I like conferences that I have an opportunity to speak. I just have to be very honest with you. It's going to be extremely unlikely for me to attend a conference today where I'm not a speaker. But there used to be a time when even giving me the opportunity to attend as one of the audience members was just the best you can happen. So the reality here, there's going to be a moment where you tell yourself, I think I have learned enough. I've gathered enough. Now is the time for me to give back. Now is the time for me to actually talk. So it depends on where you are in your career. It depends on the level where you are. It's only you that will actually make that decision. Because of course, if there is a conference where they are bringing the president of Nigeria and they ask me to come and sit, why not? It's an opportunity to hear. But if there's a conference where university students are, likely I will expect to be the one that will speak. So I decide the value I can add, whether it's going to come from delivering a speech or largely from also being a listener and then participating in the question and answer section. But the conference to attend, you have to have the opportunity to look at our return on investment. No one can tell you. I know what I look for when I'm looking for the conference first. What are the people I'm going to meet? Are they the right people for me to expand the mission I have in my company or my business or anything I'm doing? If I said, okay, out of the possible 100 people I want to meet, maybe 10 or 5 of them are very critical and I can meet them here, it means that conference has value to me. But if it's a conference where I believe vividly that there's no value, then what happens? Most likely I'll pass over that conference. So you have to decide by yourself what makes sense. And this one is sectors where I think are huge opportunities in Nigeria and Africa at the moment. I think I also answered this question in the second question and answer session. Unfortunately, we had encoding issue that wasn't very clear. I would say, as I stated there, that agriculture remains a very great sector because 65% of our working population, more than about 65% of people are working in agriculture, and agriculture remains the mainstay of our economy. It's the largest, most of the economies in Africa, and it's also one that if we can fix very well, we are going to have the most exponential impact in the well-being of our citizens. So agriculture is the place, if you want to fix poverty in Africa, you have to fix it because it has the most people employed, it has the most capacity in terms of percentage of economy, it has so many impacts across many elements, indicators of across our economy. So agriculture is a huge opportunity, but it's also a sector that is still at a level of infancy. There's really nothing happening there largely because the farming systems for more than for centuries have not changed. So it is a sector where a lot of promises that we need to participate to make those opportunities come to pass. Where farmers are no more asking for food because they are hungry, so that they are becoming business people that can actually participate and create innovations in agricultural systems and then make money. Also look at informal financing, informal sector finance and broad financial services. I believe that most of our citizens remain largely non-literate, and most are rural areas, and some are very poor. A capacity to offer services that can appeal to them, that can serve them effectively, will be a huge growth opportunity in coming years. You know, if you look what is happening in the banking sector, even in Nigeria, you realize that everyone is just running around about 30 million people that I have considered is a real valuable target market in the country. Look at the number of customers in First Bank of Nigeria, maybe 14 point something million people. Look at the GTV, they're about 10 million. It's at the end of the day, there is a boundary that you don't have more than 30 million quality customers across different sectors, across different markets in the Nigerian economy, even though we may have about nearly 200 million citizens. So the implication there is that there are people that are just out of the radar. And the financial inclusion mechanism of the Central Bank of Nigeria has not effectively unlocked those opportunities. Someone that does that thing very well, in any way you can, is going to be the person that is going to create huge massive opportunity in the future. So I think there is a huge opportunity in the informal sector of financial services in the Nigerian market and across Africa. Also look at supply chain and logistics, because business is about supply chain. Business is about logistics. Logistics runs and powers global economy. So if you have an opportunity to build something in that space, especially the supply chain, you are going to see a huge opportunity. And if you look at some companies in that space, they are doing great because there are entities in Nigeria that cannot expand production because they don't know how to reach the customer, because there are not many trucks, there are no railway tracks that can actually move manufactured goods into areas where they are needed. And there are farmers that continue to leave harvest, just go waste, because they don't know how to move them from the farm into the cities or from the farm into the processing centers where they will be processed. Those are supply chain problems. In short, we lose more than 30% of our farm harvest in Africa because we do not have the supply chain capability to move them from farms effectively to where they're needed, either in cities or where they have to be processed. If you don't think that is a problem, you are not really thinking very well. That is a huge opportunity. Somebody has to fix it. Somebody has to micro aggregate, and somebody has to pipe it into a bigger network of micro aggregation. Send them to cities, send them to where they are needed. That is an opportunity waiting to happen. I also listed, I think, in one of the foundation series about 30 different opportunities in that space, and also listed other opportunities, major opportunities that are available that somebody can also look at. And then I also look at that, I would say also education. Education is a very critical one, but it's not education from the point of opening universities. It's education from the lens that Andela is pioneering, giving people skills and capabilities, not necessarily giving them certificates. And that means you training them, equipping them, giving them what they really need to succeed in the marketplace, training them to have that creative vision, creative mindset, that they become resourceful, entrepreneurial mindset. That is what people need. It's not going into university. It's not really opening more universities. It's actually equipping young people with the 21st century skill. So that is education. And that education is going to be the education of the future. Education for artificial intelligence, robotics, programming, software, hardware, and all these systems. Those are going. Any company that can do them at scale, efficiently at high level of quality, will have great moments, create a lot of opportunities back. Okay, so when next are we going to have this seminar again? Okay, I would say largely that I've not fixed any specific time, but most likely June of this year. I would like to make this thing every 3 months. And because we've gotten all the questions for this section, for this Q1 2019, if you have more questions, I would say that we are going to treat them by June 2019. You can send your questions now to my team at tekedia@fastmarket.com, our email on the tekedia.com, and then they can always take care of them. And then they also have so yes, we hope that by June I also have another section like this to have more conversation in other areas and topics, and then continue to deepen our community and see how we can impact and influence people positively so that they can go and take care of themselves. So the last question I have here is easiest way to try for unemployed. It's a very difficult thing to be unemployed. Of course, everyone understands the challenges that these citizens face. But I would say here is that there is no way you can thrive or being unemployed. I don't think that's a very good way of putting this. I would just say you just have to thrive by getting out of unemployment. You just have to thrive by getting out of. There's no way you can thrive continuously in perpetuity by being unemployed. So I guess that what you're trying to say here is that how can someone that is unemployed get out of it? I believe one of the best ways is actually if there are places to volunteer to show your skill set. It's a way of showing people what you do, and that will open up opportunity for someone to hire. I know that in the last few months, this have been in Nigeria. Nearly all the people that joined us actually started as volunteers in our business. And after a period of time, we saw these people as being capable, and we just said, join us. And that is actually a mechanism that we do along like to use to hire. We like to know you before we actually hire you. And that creates that process that we do not expect any shock. So that is one way that if you see where people are volunteering, if you see where people are offering services, it may be a very good idea for you to open up and see how you can participate. You don't lose much. You get a lot of things. So I think that's, yeah. So that's the questions. Okay, so distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a privilege, honor to have had the opportunity of your audience over the last few hours and days. Now we are concluding Q1 2019 Tekedia Business Innovation webinar. If I've answered all the questions that we have received, subsequent questions will be handled either in my blog post or where necessary, we can also write to the individual or we move them to the next seminar. Thank you very much for your time. I remain blessed. Bye-bye.